as you come on, if you could go ahead and turn on your camera so we can get to know you and see you.
Well, that line is bad.
Hi, Josiah. How are you doing?
Doing good, sir.
What's your last name, Josiah?
Josiah Harper.
Harper? Okay. So your first name is Stefan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So you got your audio fixed, I can see.
Hmm?
I see you got your audio fixed. I guess earlier you were having some issues.
Oh, yes, sir.
Jaden, how are you tonight?
Look good, sir.
All right, very good. All right, so Josiah, where are you from?
I'm from Centerville, South Carolina, or Greenville.
What happened to him?
Okay. How about you, Jaden?
I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
All right, very good. There's two Texas people on here, me and Dr. Robert Rabb. So welcome. I should say howdy, right? All right, Rita, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you, sir?
Where are you from?
Fort Mill, South Carolina.
All right, Fort Mill, just barely in South Carolina, aren't you?
Yeah.
Nicole, how are you tonight?
I'm well, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Where are you from, Nicole?
I'm from Staten Island, New York.
Where? New York?
Staten Island, New York.
All right. So you're on the island. Very nice. Dr. Rabb and I were both teaching up at West Point, and Dr. Brasanti is from your neck of the woods, I think. Or Dr. Brasanti? You're on mute. Dr. Brasanti, you're on mute.
Yeah, I grew up on Long Island. I went to Brooklyn Polytech, so I know all about Staten Island.
Clay, how are you tonight?
Good, sir. How are you?
Great. And where are you from?
Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Okay, very nice. All right. Shonda. You turn on your camera for us.
Give us just a second.
I guess it's Dawson, possibly. And it's okay to have mom in there too, Dawson? Tell her she can come on into the screen with you. It's okay. She doesn't have to move over to the side. I saw her move quickly there. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Still waiting for a few more. So what did you hear in the previous session with the provost and all the videos that caught your attention? That maybe you didn't think about and you went, huh, interesting. And if no one speaks, I'm going to start calling on you. Go ahead, Josiah.
One thing that interests me about one of your little competitions was the Baja. You know, that interests me. You know, I'm into cars and stuff like that. Anything that moves, I love it.
All right. Well, you get a lot of opportunity with that with Dr. Rabb and his team. They're always looking for that freshman to start with them that'll turn those wrenches so that by the time you become a senior, you're now in charge of the project as a senior capstone project. So, and that's a good note for all of you as freshmen. You see something you like and want to be participatory in as a senior, well, get involved as a freshman. Nobody's going to say no. They're going to let you get involved. And if they do, go back to the department head or the faculty member and say, hey, I just want to participate. And that's a good way to learn more about all the different things that are going on and being able to understand exactly what you want to do as a capstone project your senior year. Because it's a whole year. You work on 2 semesters on it. So you might as well do what you want to do. Others, anything else you saw? Someone else?
something that interested me was the amount of like service hours that was put into it, because I know my school is very big on community service.
Well, that's great. And interesting enough, Nicole, um, we didn't take off and have those kind of numbers until one of our civil engineers was the actual fellow. Well, I guess she was a student fellow with the Krause Center, figuring out how to best do it. And she challenged her company, and that company in 2000, I guess it was 16, had the highest number. And that just got everybody going after it. And they picked their own project, each company, and went after it. And so it was an engineer that actually got those numbers up. It used to be around 10,000, across the core. And she took it upon herself to say, and by the way, she was not only a civil engineer, but she was also the captain of the rifle team. So not that she was not busy, she was very busy, but she wanted to give back. And she spent every weekend a little bit of time working on a service project. So it'll be there, guaranteed. And as freshmen, on Leadership Day, which unfortunately because of COVID-19, you guys would all be here visiting, right? COVID-19, we normally have all the freshmen go out on Leadership Day, which is in November or October, depending on the date they select. And you spend 8 hours doing a community service project. And that's how we get you started. I get you out there as a freshman. And we have sophomores who actually lead it. And so they'll be in charge of each group that's out doing things. You could be at an elementary school doing reading, doing math, could be doing a cleanup project. They're all over the place. And then all the sophomores are out doing community service, but many times they're the ones that are out doing some of the projects as a group of 10 or 12. Maybe it's cleaning up a playground, repainting a playground, or whatever it might be, so that one day you hit something and it really changes and really becomes wonderful, right? Now, I did that because I'm hoping you're Italian maybe a little bit, right? Okay, there you go. I'm just trying to reach out. My wife is Italian, and so I get a lot of this and a lot of that from her and her family. So it's all good. Anybody else?
How many credit hours would you do in a year for electrical engineering?
Well, they're all about the same as a freshman. We're about 18 to 19 credit hours, not counting ROTC classes on top, the class on that each semester for the first 2 years. And then if you decide to go, how many are going in the military? 1, 2. All right, consider. All right, so 5 out of you. You would then continue doing ROTC classes your junior and senior year, while Dawson, you would do ROTC fulfillment classes. Other classes that have a leadership component to them would be fit into your curriculum, right? So, but Rita, basically it's 18 to 19 every semester up through probably senior year to when it drops down into 17, 15, because that's when we have the capstone. We try to make sure that it doesn't have as many credit hours, because you're already going to spend a lot of time working on your capstone. Josiah, he'll spend 20 hours a week just working on his Baja by that time, right? And so you'll want to have that time, not have all those classes. Gentlemen, did I miss anything? Is that about right? 18 to 19 freshman year?
Yes, sir.
Sounds good.
Now, if you bring in courses that you've had AP courses, sometimes that will help you move into something else. But generally, what we will do is have you all take still 19, 18, 19 and push classes forward. It's a lot better to push them forward as we go through so that you're all doing the same kind of load. And then by the time you get to junior year, you might think about adding a minor. Okay. All right. I guess we're not going to get the other. So even though I'm Ron Welch, I'm the Dean of Engineering. And what you have up here, you can see their names. Dr. Rabb is Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Basanti is Electrical and Computer Engineering. And Dr. Davis is Civil and Construction Engineering. So we're here to assist you. I'm going to stay with you a couple more minutes. I'm double parked. I've got another Zoom session I've got to be on in about 10 minutes. But I would like to open it up to questions you have that we can answer. And then based upon the 6, they'll continue answering your questions. And we're here for you as a resource. Did you all receive an email from me today? Check your email or spam folder or whatever, okay? But I sent it. Did everybody get one other than Nicole? Because I sent it to the email that you gave us for this session. I just wanted to make sure you had a connection. And if you have a question, you can email me, and then I will send it out to one of the department heads to let them know if you've got a question that I can't answer, okay? We want to make sure that we answer every question you have to make you as comfortable as possible as you come to the Citadel, all right? It's not going to be easy. We're going to challenge you in the academics, and we're going to challenge you as a cadet physically, and a little bit of your discipline, mental issue, you know, as you go through being a cadet in the Corps of Cadets. But you know what? You've got Dr. Brasanti served 20 years in the Navy. Dr. Rab and I both went to West Point. And if we can do it, so can you. I guarantee you. All you have to do is remember 6 hours of sleep every night, and the next day is a new day. And all you have to do is remember tomorrow, after a couple of days, everybody forgets about what happened 2 days ago. Trust me. And right now, the freshmen are not being bothered by anybody because everybody's worried about academics. That's all the upperclassmen, right? So eventually, you just got to move through, and academics is the most important part. So, questions? Come on, Clay. I know you have a question.
Y'all covered a lot of it, so.
All right, I'm going to come back to you. We're not going to let anybody off the hook. All right, Jaden.
No, sir, I have no questions right now.
Okay. Anybody in junior ROTC right now? Nicole? Rita? Jaden, good. Hey, you already know how to march. You know almost the stuff. So just remember, help your classmate when you get here, right? Your roommate. They may not know. My dad was in the Army. He was a drill sergeant, so I knew how to fold, how to shine. And I had 2 roommates, and neither of them had ever been near the military their entire life. And it took a lot of work working with them, but everybody survived, you know? And so share your skill set with them, right? And guess what? They may help you academically. You just never know. One of them did. He was really good in English, so he helped me in English after I helped him militarily, right? So it's a team effort always. So Shonda, you got a question?
I do. I was curious about COVID last spring. How did that affect your classes? Did you guys continue to have classes
No,
like March and April and May?
No, we sent everybody home spring break and told them to take all their academic stuff with them. We didn't know what was going to happen, but we were leaning into it to assume that if the governor did shut us down, which is what happened, the governor said all schools closed. All of our students already had their stuff at home with them. And we, over spring break, all the faculty transitioned. And on Monday after spring break, we started teaching remotely. And I would tell you that we did have a couple of kids that we just lost total contact with. And those were ones that didn't have either a internet connection at home, or they didn't have a computer that could connect in. And so we found ways to call them. We sent computers out. We sent hotspots out. We did everything we could, Shonda, to make sure every student could connect in. Within about 2 weeks, we had them all back. And I would say that the grades in the spring, and the department heads could agree with this, our grade averages were the same this past spring as they were the spring before. So our faculty worked extremely hard trying to make that connection. Now, what really worked well for us, Shonda, was that, guess what? We already know them all, right? We'd already been in class with them for 7 weeks. So that was a good transition. But as far as this fall, I was part of the task force that brought all the kids, established the conditions for us coming back. And we've been face to face since the 19th of August. And I would tell you our biggest time of having those positive was the football team in the summer when they all went to a party. Of course, that changed everything real quickly for sports. And I think our highest has been either 7 to 10 students at any one time. But Shonda, we didn't have hardly many positives. We had a lot of quarantines by people being close to somebody who'd come to visit them on campus, family member. The reason we had a few positives here toward the end is we've released our restrictions and we've allowed cadets to go home on the weekend, especially those close. That's caused a few positives. After the election, everybody that went in South Carolina home to vote, we had a few positives after that. But we are still only using about 10% of our area for quarantining, and we do not send them home. But unless we talk to the parents and the parents said, yes, I'll come get them, let's quarantine at home. And we have had that happen. A couple of students have gotten, we're in close contact with a family member who became sick. So it was just as easy for them to go home. And then as it turned out, they never got it. It was just that one person they isolated inside their house. So this is a really interesting time with everybody wearing masks and doing all the right things. What we plan to do in the spring is we will start a week later than normal, and we're canceling spring break. We just don't want to send everybody home and then have them come back. And of course, they won't go home for spring break. They'll go everywhere but home, most likely. And so we'll start a week late, and this will get us on a traction to graduation on time in the spring. We didn't like having a virtual graduation at all, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that we do what we do. Give you an example of how we're being safe. We do freshman events once a month with all the freshmen. We'll do one where we'll have upperclassmen with each one talking about internships, research opportunities, summer abroad. We'll also have talking to them about ROTC and what their experiences have been when they've gone to advanced camp. We'll have just a session where they can talk to an upperclassman engineer and said, how did you survive? And we'll do that in the first month. And we've been holding those with 180 freshmen. And what we've been doing this year is we learned it from the Marines that were here this summer. We have them out on the parade deck. We get about 8 to 10 together, double arm spacing. They sit on a camp stool that's been issued to every student, and everybody wears their mask. They take off their mask to eat or drink because we give them a meal. That's right. We give you guys Chick-fil-A. It's something different than what you're having in the mess hall. And we have an hour and a half conversation and learn. So what we've been trying to do is not stop any of the things that we normally do. We may not do them as often, but we're not stopping what we've done in the past. And that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing right now. We've done pre-nobs for forever. The only thing's different is that you'll get the, hopefully understand what the barracks will be from a video versus spending the night. And we apologize for that. It's not quite the same, trust me, but maybe you'll get a good feel for it. Shonda, did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
And by the way, for you all, if this is still happening in the fall, which there's a good chance we'll still be doing a lot of things, we're testing about 10% of the cadets every week as part of a rotation basis, just to make sure that we're catching something that might be happening in a company as early as possible, and then we quarantine. That the way we deal with the academics, so you all know, is that if a classroom can have students spread out and all in the room, we teach it face to face, and we record it in case we show up, a kid doesn't show up that day, they may be quarantined. We just don't know. If the classroom has got too many students in it to have them spread out in 6 feet intervals, we have half the classroom is on Zoom and half the classroom is face to face, and every lesson they're flip flopping back and forth. And again, we're recording the lesson. So in case if Jaden, all of a sudden you don't show up because you happen to be at the clinic because you were close contact and you're waiting to be tested, you can't go anywhere until you get tested and then moved over to quarantine, you won't miss the class. It'll be recorded and available for you on this Canvas, our learning management system, okay? So our goal is to make sure that at least 50% of the time you're face-to-face. Labs, we're trying to make it 100% of the time. And in some classes, some sections, you'll be there 100% of the time face-to-face. But of course, we're wearing a mask. We've got a Zoom going and a thing called a swivel, and it's interaction with both the kids in the room and the kids in their barracks, all at the same time. Sometimes they're not in the barracks, sometimes they're in the library or some other part of campus.
Thank you.
So that's what makes us different. A lot of campuses that are shutting down. We're trying to do everything we can to just limit those that are being exposed. We're testing athletes. Any athletes in the group? Okay. Guess what? We're testing those 2 to 3 times a week to make sure that we're able to have them as a family pod, if you will, and that they can train together. They're not wearing masks when they're training together, except if they're standing like watching football, they got the mask on. If they're soccer, they pull the mask up while they're on the sidelines. But otherwise, when they're out there playing, they don't have the mask on. And so we're doing everything we can to try to keep you all safe, keep you in academics, which is what you came here for, and to get you graduating in 4 years, okay? Other questions? Okay, well, I'm gonna turn it over to each of the department heads. I've got it, like I said, go to another meeting. It's great seeing you all. And I look forward to see you in August. So make sure you stay focused and get your academics done this spring. You'll be receiving something in the mail from us shortly, so be on the lookout for that, and hopefully you'll enjoy what you're going to get. Great seeing you. Good luck, and welcome to the Citadel, because I know you're all going to show up. All right? Bye. Jeff, do you have control?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll start off. So I'm Jeff Davis. I'm the head of civil engineering, construction engineering, actually in the same department. And we have a very active faculty with 14 faculty members that are constantly working with students and helping them learn, helping them develop, figuring out activities outside of the class that would be complementary to what they learn inside the classroom. I think, who was it? It was Nicole asked about community service. Our department actually, we won 2 national community service awards a few years back. And they were getting out into the community doing type work that's called service learning, where you apply engineering to benefit the community. We had a neighborhood dam for a small pond that was in this neighborhood that was having some issues. And our students went there and investigated the dam, worked with practicing engineers, and came up with some recommendations as what could be done to fix the dam. The dam didn't, like if it failed, it just would have gone into the marsh. It didn't, wasn't like downstream homes were in jeopardy or whatever. So it was a perfect kind of project for students to help out with. We also are involved in our construction program with one of the classes that actually the course is like a practicum, meaning that you go and you actually are in charge of things and do construction type activities with the Habitat for Humanity. You're in charge of projects. You go once a week out there, you pre-plan the projects, and then you go and actually work and help organize the projects in the field. And it's just a fantastic learning experience. Can't learn everything you need to know about engineering by sitting in the classroom, and we place a big emphasis on getting students out, field trips, lots of field trips in construction engineering. We had our students went up in a ship-to-shore crane at the South Carolina State Port Authority. Got to go up in the big gantry crane that takes the containers off of the ship. So what an amazing experience to see that, and then to understand all the construction projects that have gone on. There's a big container port that's under construction nearby, as well as a access road. And so our students in construction engineering go to a number of field trips each semester, and we still have been going on field trips even with some restrictions that are placed on going off campus. We've still been able to navigate that. But we have a great program. We're a teaching institution, so when we went to live streaming courses at the end of last semester, like our faculty were so enthusiastic about learning. Like it didn't matter what medium that they would have to use to kind of help students learn and get that material that they needed to build on for their next year, next courses, for their when they graduate, what they would be doing in their careers. It was amazing to see all the things that they brought to bear and ways that they interacted with students and helped them learn. And so because we're a teaching institution, I think that we were best prepared of any kind of school to be able to go forward effectively in an online environment. And now, as Dean Welch was describing, we have larger classes. We do have live streaming, and then they're also recorded, but there's still a whole bunch of interaction between the faculty and the students. But a lot of classes that don't need to be split are still face-to-face. So we have a lot of advantages of being a small college, get to know the professors really well, get to have a lot of opportunities to do internships, and get to work maybe on undergraduate research projects or projects that you have a faculty advisor. Like for us, it's a concrete canoe. For mechanical engineering, the Baja dune buggy. For electrical engineering, robotics type projects. So I think it's a great learning environment, and it's a great school to consider if you're considering where you can build a great foundation for your future career. Does anybody have any questions specifically about civil engineering or construction engineering that I could answer? Well, I would definitely be in touch by email, and I will send you some information. continue to stay here, obviously. But we have social media that shows a lot of like student profile, alumni profile, faculty profile, and has pictures of field trips and stuff like that. You can get an idea of what the student learning environment is like in our department. So with that, I guess I'll pass it on to Dr. Barsanti.
Sure, thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm the department head from electrical and computer engineering here at the Citadel. Sitting here in my office, as you can see, still wearing my uniform. We teach during the day and at night, so the faculty here have long days. But you know, it's what we do, what we want, you know, what we love doing. As far as the electrical and computer engineering program goes here at the Citadel, you know, I think one of the biggest benefits is the fact that we have, you know, a small faculty and a relatively small group of students. So you get to know each other pretty well, and we keep track of you, and we are able to you know, help you succeed. So we know what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and we can play to that. One of the great things about our program, I think, over other programs in bigger universities, is that you spend a lot of time with teaching assistants. We don't have any teaching assistants. All your teachers will be PhD level teachers who've been doing this for many years. So you won't have you know, some 25 or 26-year-old teaching assistant trying to explain to you stuff they barely understand themselves. So you'll always have a faculty member at your disposal. The other thing is we have a very hands-on program. So you'll be doing hands-on activities every single semester. We've set up the curriculum that way so that it's not just about what you do with pencil and paper. You'll get to use your hands and build things and measure things and do research and other types of activities as well. So, you know, I'd be really interested in taking your questions instead of, you know, just sort of continually talking here. So Rita, what do you got? I see you.
What kind of courses would we be taking with electrical engineering?
Sure. You know, everything I say is online, so you can go double check me and look up as much detail as you have time for. But you know, as a freshman, when you come in, everybody, all the engineers pretty much have a similar schedule. You'll take freshman seminars, what we use instead of in freshman writing, which we use as a substitute for English 101 in most schools. So you'll take a course, a seminar course, and there's actually 10 different topics you can select from, and then you'll have a companion writing course with that. A lot of students take courses in there's an artificial intelligence course you could take. There's a history of weaponry and technology course you could take. So if you're technology minded, you can take those. And they have companion writing courses. In addition, you'll take a science course. So for electrical or computer engineering, you'll take either chemistry for engineers or biology for engineers. And that has a companion lab. You'll also take Introduction to Electrical Engineering, which is a 3-credit-hour course. And in that course, you'll learn a variety of things about electrical engineering. You'll learn about the different disciplines. You'll learn about how to do some simple engineering drawing using, you know, CAD tools. You'll also learn a little bit about circuits and a little bit about computer programming. You'll also learn, you do an ethics case study in there as well. So that's pretty much your first semester here. Also, you'll take math. I missed out on math, so you'll take Calculus 1. And that's pretty much your first semester. Do you have any follow-ups on that?
No, thank you.
Okay. You know, for the computer engineer, who's the other one? Jaden, I guess you're interested in computer engineering. It's a very similar schedule. What you'll find is that the difference between electrical engineering and computer engineering is about 6 courses over the course of, you know, 8 semesters. So you have a common first semester. So everything I just said for the electrical engineer also goes for computer engineering. There's absolutely no difference between the two during that first semester. So what question you got for me, Jaden?
No question, sir.
No question. How hot is it out there in Arizona? I see you wearing a sweatshirt.
I'm actually in San Antonio, sir.
Oh, is that where you
Texas.
are? I'm sorry. You're in Texas. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
All right.
No, it's okay.
I misread the, I guess I misunderstood what you said earlier. Sorry. Any other questions about electrical engineering, computer engineering at all? Anything? So you know everything there is to know? You know, any questions about cadet life, what that's like? No?
Oh,
Anybody? Yeah,
I
go
have a
ahead.
question.
Go ahead, Nicole.
So can you just like explain the difference between Corps cadets and like the ROTC? Like I'm still kind of confused. Do they go
Sure.
hand in hand?
Yeah, I'll give it my best shot, and then one of these other guys can fill in if I screw it up. But the Corps of Cadets, right? All day students who come to the. Oh, sorry, my phone is going crazy here. Sorry about that. My phone went off. All students, freshman students who enter the school, enter and become part of the Corps of Cadets. Okay, and so each cadet has to take ROTC each and every one of his first 4 semesters here. Okay, and you'll continue on in ROTC if you plan on getting a commission. If you do not plan on getting commission, you'll still remain in the Corps of Cadets until the day you graduate. However, your last 4 semesters here, you'll be able to take a course that will replace your ROTC course. So there's a whole list of what they call ROTC fulfillment courses. And they're things like research opportunities, internships, and a whole variety of other types of classes. So you're a cadet from the time you you matriculate on the first day until you graduate. And whether or not you take ROTC, well, it's just like taking another course. And of course, obviously, if you're interested in entering the military, you would take the ROTC courses that apply to that branch of the military you're interested in. If you decide at some point that you're not as interested in being a military officer, then you'll still stay in the Corps of Cadets, but your ROTC will be replaced by something else. Did that explain it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, from the time you matriculate until the time you graduate, you'll be in uniform. Anything else about cadet life or?
When you get to assigned to a company, will you be with other people in the same major as you, or is you just random?
Yes. Yes and no. I mean, there is no effort to pair you with people in the majors, but because the majors are relatively widespread and number of students, so yeah, so you won't be necessarily paired with somebody from the same exact major from you, but it happens more often than you think. And certainly there'll be other people in your company and in your battalion who are in your major. But there's not an effort to segregate the population that way. I think they would prefer to have a mixture in each of the companies, in each of the battalions. Anything else, Rita?
Nope.
Jaden? I'll turn it over to Dr. Rabb, Mechanical Engineering Department Head.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Robert Rabb, Head of Mechanical, and the other two covered quite a bit of stuff here. I just want to talk a little bit about our program. One of the strengths that we just had our ABET visit a couple of weeks ago. One of the strengths they noted was the strong faculty-student relationship, and just like Dr. Bersanti said, small faculty-student ratio that we have there. We get to know you, you get to know us. But they thought that was one of our strengths here in the mechanical engineering program. What's in store for you once you graduate here after 4 years? Well, we've put people into employment, like you saw earlier, the provost pointed out 33% of people went into the military. We probably are a little bit higher than that in engineering across the board, probably 35, 38%. but we also put the other, 2/3 of the folks in industry somewhere. So we've recently had graduates go off to work at NASA. We had a student last year went to go work at Blue Origin. Does anybody know what Blue Origin is? That's Jeff Bezos' space company. So he's down in the Gulf of Mexico right now, catching rockets, as he says. So as these rockets go up and launch satellites, the bodies that come back down, he's got to go retrieve them out of the ocean. He's part of that crew. But it's a very high-paying job, and it ought to be some pretty high adventure. So I know he's probably enjoying that. We also put people in the regular conventional aircraft business. Boeing right here, Gulfstream. The automotive industry, we've got people working at Mercedes, Volvo, BMW, and we just had a student interview with a company called Rivian. So they make those electric pickups up in Detroit. So they've also got about a 10,000 vehicle contract with the Postal Service. They'll be in business quite a bit. We had a local company reach out to us and says, hey, we have all this steel fabrication that we do, but we want some of your folks. So we gave them a set of resumes to look at, but they're really impressed with their computer design skills, their hands-on experience that they got from here. And this company is making hulls for the next class of submarines. So they fabricate them in one point, move them 3 miles and do a lot of welding there. Then they move them by truck at night out to a place here along the intercoastal waterway and barge them after they do a little bit more work and send them up to Virginia. But that company will be in business for about the next 30 years. But I mean, where else can you work with, that's affects the future so much? We put a fair number of folks into Department of Defense as contractors. They'll work as civilians doing some of the work there so that our warfighters are better prepared. And a good number of them go off to grad school too. Like Dr. Barsanti was talking about, and Dr. Davis about undergraduate research. We have a fair number of faculty that will bring in students to assist with those efforts, but it's a great opportunity for you to work a little bit closer with more one-on-one with a faculty member. We have a whole slew of projects that we do, a robotic hand. We've got people making wheelchairs this year that somebody with just with one-handed operation. We've got, tennis ball retriever devices out there. So we span a whole lot of different projects. The Baja. So let me see, who was it? Stefan, right? Yeah, you're mentioning the Baja. So this year is a little unique. We didn't get to compete last year, although this is probably our best Baja that's out there, the one you saw on the video. Did you watch the video with the provost?
Yes, sir.
You saw that one? Yeah. All right, so same one. It's probably the best one we've ever made, but we didn't get to compete with it. But we're going to pump that up a little bit this year because next year, not this year, but a year from now, they want all the vehicles to be four-wheel drive. So we got a bunch of students right now, so we're going to make it four-wheel drive this year. So that'll give it a whole lot more options out there, be a little bit harder to build, and the whole dynamics on that thing are going to change. So it will be a little bit of a challenge. I know that the other two talked a little bit about internships, but we send people all over the place for internships too. We have a local company. They work with solar panels, but they've taken all of our students all across all programs out to all places of the world across the country. But a couple of years ago, they went out to Kwajalein Atoll. So how would you like to be, just finish your freshman year and go spend 2-3 months out there in the Pacific?
Sounds
doing
great.
something really cool. They were making like $40 an hour. They didn't tell me that before they left, but when they came back, I asked them, but they said they were making $40 an hour overseas. All right, that's not bad money. But I hope they didn't go spend it all in one place. Some other parts of our programs, if you look into it a little bit here, you'll see that we have 5 main areas. So that's our manufacturing focus, our aero focus, our materials, advanced composites, mechatronics, so a lot of automation that we look at, and power and energy. Those are the big 5, but we also have another one we don't advertise too well, but we tell all students about that. But Clemson a few years ago reached out to us and said, hey, we got this master's in bioengineering here. We like to use some engineers. We have enough biology people, but they don't understand enough engineering. But you engineers can pick up this biology stuff pretty easily. So we had a student a few years ago go down here, take a couple of grad classes his senior year, down here at Clemson, about a mile away. So their medical center wasn't too far. One semester he just live streamed the class, and next semester he was actually there. But you know, he graduated just this past year, but he's, you know, in 1 year he has master's in bioengineering. So some of you are thinking about, if you're an electrical engineer, thinking about imaging or something like that. I mean, there's a pathway for you. If you're a mechanical engineer thinking about artificial organs, prosthetics, things of that sort, we got an avenue for that right here. So, but you heard it from the dean, you heard it from everybody else. You engineers are well sought after, and even with a basic bachelor's degree in engineering, you'll make some pretty good money employable from day one, but you can spin that off and go into, say, med school, or go immediately into a master's program. Let me see what else I have for you. I'm going to open it up to your questions. Go ahead, Josiah. You're the mechanical engineer. Stefan?
Trying to figure out what you didn't cover. Like, you cover pretty much all my questions right now. You cover all my questions right now.
Okay, what interests you out of those 5 areas?
What interests me, like what you mean, like the bio? Like
Well, you
covered?
told the dean you're interested in like automobiles, you're interested in the Baja, but you didn't hear me mention that in those 5 areas. You heard manufacturing, aero, materials, mechatronics, and power and energy.
I would say like power and energy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. So we have a faculty member. She came from Cummins Turbo. She left the industry. She's been here, but she teaches an engines class. So she's got a couple of them out here in the back in our fabrication shop. So she's got some 1-cylinder all the way up to some 4-cylinder engines out here. But she stays very well connected to industry. But you'll be able to get your hands on stuff like that here.
That's great.
Yep.
You know, took 2 years in diesel tech, so hopefully I can transfer over.
Yep. Yep. She had students last year build an engine dynamometer so she could measure the horsepower and all the efficiencies of that.
You say an engine dyno?
Yeah. Yeah, our students have built that.
All right. Yeah. My dad, this transfer over from my dad, you know, he always working on power and stuff like that. One thing that interests me is just, you know, what you can do with mail and stuff like that. It, like, you look at the race cars, you know, them with the big old 500 cubic inch engines just going down drag strip. That's something awesome I'm interested in.
Yeah, so, but now we're moving toward efficiency. So a lot of manufacturers are looking at hybrid and electric vehicles. So things are going to change a little bit, but I see that as a plus. There's a lot of opportunity there. So as I look at what's going to happen in the next, say, 20, 30 years with autonomous vehicles, and everybody complains about the infrastructure of the country needs work. So you see the civil engineer right there. We're going to tear up all these roads and build them better. Okay, but that's not all. We're just not going to put down some more asphalt. We're going to put some wires down on the road so that as you drive, it recharges your vehicle. And so that's going to be kind of a power distribution problem for the electrical engineers. Then we're going to have sensors on the cars to keep them in the lanes and know what's all around them, other vehicles. So that's both a mechanical and electrical problem. So a lot of this engineering that you're talking about that you'll see in your lifetime is going to be multidisciplinary. So everything that you read says that the engineer of the future needs to know a little bit about the other disciplines, be able to collaborate with them.
Awesome.
Right. Any other questions? It doesn't have to be about engineering.
Well, I got a question. Do you guys still have like a rifle club down there?
Yeah, we have several actually engineers, mechanical engineers that are on the rifle team. So it's an NCAA team. The pistol team is a club sport, but the range is it's probably about a 5-minute walk from this building.
Yes, sir. Do y'all do any projects on the weekend or anything like that?
Yes, I have engineers that come in on the weekend that use the fabrication shop. So if you're out there, you know that we've got cameras out there to monitor what's going on. It's about a 30-day record on that thing, but I will have cadets, students, sometimes evening students that will ask for access to that building over the weekend. So as long as you've been trained on the equipment and you're out there with a partner, you can use the equipment. And I know that Dr. Davis has had numerous students come in to help on the concrete canoe and some of these other projects they've got going on. I'm in the same building as electrical. It's not uncommon if I'm here on the weekends that Dr. Bersanti's got students running around working on some stuff upstairs.
Oh, yes, sir. For the projects, is it just the school, or the students can bring in other projects along with it?
Yeah, students can bring in other projects. So at least on the mechanical side, by our accreditation standards, it has to be a mechanical or a thermal system. So it can't be a paper design. All right, it can't be how to improve some process out at name a factory, but you're going to actually get your hands dirty and build something. So usually right now I would have my senior design group briefing me remotely like this over Zoom. That's usually what happens on Tuesday evenings with me, but they're pushed off till Wednesday. But they've got something going on here. It's pretty darn good. But we also get students that generate their own projects. You know, maybe they've been on an internship and they've got a connection there at work that says, hey, I'd like you guys to take a look at this. And, you know, as long as it meets that standard, at least on the mechanical side of being a thermal or mechanical system, we'll back up the student on that.
Okay. That wraps up my questions.
Okay. Christopher, so I think you're a mechanical, right?
He's communicating by chat.
Okay. I'm not seeing it.
So he said that he has a quick question. Will the curriculum cover nuclear engineering?
So as a mechanical, yes and no. So we have a class on the books. Right now, Dr. Bersanti teaches, he's a Navy submariner. I don't know if there's any other type of submariner, Dr. Bersanti, but anyway, he's a Navy nuke guy. So he covers that for us. So he's got some of his students in there, a whole lot of ours. And I've got a new person that we hired this past year who's got work experience in the nuclear industry. So I hope to get him on board and teach our nuclear class here in the future.
He said, thanks for answering his question.
Okay. Yeah, I cannot see any chats coming over, so thank you.
Yeah, I can't see the chat either for some reason. Somehow
It must be you as the host.
Yeah.
All right, someone's got to give Dr. Davis a hard question.
So I would just add a little bit more about our curriculum, just a few more details. So in civil engineering, we concentrate in 4 particular areas: structural engineering, obviously like beams, columns, bridges, all kind of things that would involve like holding up loads and forces. Geotechnical engineering, which is transferring all the loads into the natural soil, which is an inherently weak material. Environmental engineering, which is protecting the built environment or the natural environment when we're doing something in the built environment. And transportation engineering, which is mobility and commerce. In construction, we have courses that focus in vertical and horizontal construction. So vertical would be building construction. Horizontal would be maybe things like an interchange or a highway or something that's kind of spread out more. We have courses in estimating and scheduling. Obviously, costing of projects is very important, and time that it's delivered in is hugely important. We have another course that covers contracts and construction safety, and also construction equipment. So we get to get a lot of practical aspects. I would say we have very practical curriculum. You know, there's theory, we cover the theory, but we place a bigger emphasis on the practical application of all of the concepts. It prepares you for engineering practice once you get out in a whole variety of jobs, whether it's doing design or construction, going to grad school, and working in a number of different capacities. And then in our department, we have, out of our 14 faculty, 10 of them have their professional engineering license. So we place a big emphasis on preparing you to be a professional engineer. You're required to take the fundamentals of engineering exam to graduate in our departments and both of our curriculums. And then we have a great preparatory course. We already had the first student take and pass the exam. So we have, right now we have 100% pass rate, but obviously more students to go, and we do a lot. So, but the fact that we have professional engineering professors teaching the courses, I think really adds a lot. Not only do we have theoretical backgrounds, but also practical aspects as well. So does anybody have any questions for me at all? There was, I think, can you guys, Dr. Rab, Dr. Basandi, see the chat now? I made you co-hosts.
I can see the chat. Thank you.
Cannot see the chat.
Dr. Rab is away from his.
He froze. So the question is, how does the curriculum differ or relate to that from West Point?
Okay, Christopher, here the curriculum is going to be pretty close. I mean, a lot of the courses that we brought in here were almost mirror images of what they had at West Point, but I think that's kind of universal for a lot of the mechanical engineering programs. One big difference I would say is that you're probably going to get a little bit more engineering here. At West Point, you're going to have about 50% of your classes on humanities. You'll have international relations, many more history classes, military history, along with regular, Western and world civilization type stuff. But they'll boil it down to about 13 hardcore classes on engineering. At West Point here, we're probably up around 15 and a couple of electives. So we get a little bit more flexibility here. But as far as, the titles of the classes and stuff, it's pretty much going to be the same. I think the big difference, though, is in the amount of humanities classes that you get there. And for a good reason, because everybody there, 100%, they're going to go into the military. So it's they're preparing people to be have a more global perspective, I guess, is what I would like to say. So you'll see people with that type of background and knowledge base. Their foreign language is required. Here as an engineer, it's not. It's optional. If you've got some free time, you can take it. Most of our engineers don't. If they've had it, say in high school, then they'll have AP credit for it. But there it's, I think, 2 semesters of foreign language. And if you're a humanities major, then it's 3 semesters at least. So those are probably the big differences.
He said, thank you.
Okay.
So Dr. Rab, I made you host, I think. I can leave this running. I have to go teach a class right now. So I will be in touch with everybody who's interested in civil and construction engineering by email with some additional resources. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. So thanks a lot.
Right. If you want to type in, it looks like the chat's working now. I just got Christopher's last message here, so I think it's working. If you're physically present here, you'd be asking lots of questions. So, I mean, this is really your time to do that.
I'll ask a question. Does anybody know anybody who's attended the Citadel before? No?
My cousin was a civil engineer a couple years ago.
Okay.
Um,
So you know something about the school, I guess.
a little bit.
I asked that because it's a unique place. It's not like any other place. And so if you don't know somebody that's been here or have had lengthy discussions with someone who's been here, you might be surprised.
My dad was a civil engineering major at the Citadel, so.
I mean, Dr. Versanti asked a good question too. So you've probably heard some stories already, Clay and Dawson, but things are a little different this year with all the social distancing going on. They've got, at least this fall semester, they've got all the freshmen over in like one set of barracks and stuff. So you got very little interaction in the barracks life with the whole fleet of upperclassmen. It's just a small core group of cadre that are with them. So things are a little different, and everybody's wondering when they're going to get to their real companies and things like that. So it's a little different this year.
I think they're going back to the company structure in the spring. So, you know, by the time you get here next fall, everything should be back. You know, I heard the other day anyway, there's a vaccine on the horizon here. So, so certainly by the time you get here, things should be pretty much back to normal. Are all of you in face-to-face classes now, or are you homeschooling, or what are you doing?
I'm fully virtual.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Nicole?
It's definitely interesting. I never would have pictured learning on a computer, but I take like AP courses, so it's kind of hard online trying to teach yourself.
Yeah.
I'm doing a hybrid system. So half virtual, half online. I mean, half face-to-face.
How does that work? Do you go in just half the days, or how's that work?
So for 1 week, it would be 3 days. For the next, it would be 2. Switch.
And that's to keep the classroom capacity down, I guess, to.
Yeah.
What about the rest of you?
Hybrid as well. Hybrid.
Yeah, we're doing sort of a hybrid as well. You know, we have some classes that you have relatively few students and less, you know, class sizes less than 20, and so we can fit them in the class. For class sizes bigger than that, we're on a hybrid kind of a thing, where the students attend half of the sessions from their dorm room instead of coming to class. And we purchase a specific technology to do that, that allows them to seamlessly attend the class or as close to it as you can get. but I think most students like you would say they'd rather be in class than not in class. So certainly the faculty would rather have them in class than not. So I don't know. I don't think this thing has to go on forever, does it, Rob? So if we're out of questions, we're out of questions. And, you know, you can always email us or pick up the phone and call us or what have you. We'll be happy to answer any questions that may pop into your head at any time. We really do hope you consider coming here to the Citadel. And it was great talking to all of you and having a chance to talk about our programs.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, you have a good evening.